Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Real Steel, where we talk all things Pittsburgh Steelers. No BS, just the real steel. I'm your host, Jeff. I'm joined by my co-host, Polt. Polt, we took a little vacation. We've been off for a little bit, but Steelers are 4-2. Won a game, lost a game, had a bye week, so not great, not terrible. We're in first place in the AFC North. We got some help from some of our division opponents losing some games when we were off. And, I think you had said right before we broke that if we were 4-2 when we talk next, we'd be pretty happy. So, of course, the last game we had against the Bengals was a loss. So I can't use the word happy here, but
Yeah.
we're in a pretty good place. We have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. We're going to talk. I think we'll spend this episode maybe just level setting, getting us back into the rhythm of things. But what's your temp right now? How are you feeling with everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned that. I meant to look that up before we started recording and just didn't have a chance. Yeah, I thought this is what I predicted we would do and what I was hoping we would do. And, the Steelers are pretty darn predictable in all facets of the game. So, I don't know. I think we went on a really good 3-week stretch there. Everything that we needed in the division happened. We won in Ireland. We had a good bye week. We got healthy. We won against Cleveland, and everything was looking good. But as you said, this past week was not as great, and vibes came down a little bit. But to be honest with you, we're 4-2, and that's what I thought we would be through the beginning of the season, the first 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and maybe it happened in a little different way than I was expecting. But this is kind of what I expected, and we're first in the division. The rest of the division kind of has flaws as well, and I don't know. I'm in a pretty good spot, I think, with the Steelers.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Ireland because you were there, boots on the ground.
Yeah.
We haven't talked, of course, on an episode since then.
Yeah.
Good win for the Steelers to come out. The last few minutes of that game really shifted in Minnesota's favor and certainly found a way to make us nervous. But good to come out on top of that game 24-21. What was it like? How was it? How was Croke Park?
Dude, it was pretty awesome. The experience. So I somehow paid extra to be in like a suite area that I didn't realize I was going to be in. So that was pretty cool, closer to the beer, closer to the Guinness, which was great. But definitely surrounded by a lot of different fans, a lot of Steelers fans, a lot of Vikings. Go ahead.
Did they let you drink there?
Yes.
Because I know that when you go to most soccer games, you can't.
Correct. Yes, they let you drink and bring it into the stands.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
yeah, that was
normally
definitely
bring it
different.
into the stands for soccer games.
Right, so they did let us do that, which was great, and I thought the atmosphere was phenomenal. I'd say it was probably 50% Steelers, 30% Vikings, and then 20% just random football fans, because Ireland actually loves the NFL, which is one thing I learned, and I thought the atmosphere was awesome when that Jalen Ramsey not fumble happened, and we returned it for a touchdown, and the place erupted, and it was a lot of fun. It was a blast. So Ireland was great, but you, and I think a lot of our listeners will appreciate this. You talked about the last couple minutes there. I was with a friend who is not a Steelers fan, general football fan, but the entire time sat beside this couple from Seattle that was big-time Steeler fans that came to the game. It was awesome, and I just said that entire 10 minutes of the fourth quarter, this is Mike Tomlin football. And what Mike Tomlin wants to do is win one-score games. And I had Vikings fans I was talking to in front of me like, oh, this game's over. And I'm like, just you wait. We'll find a way to almost blow it. And we did almost blow it. And I just kept saying, Mike Tomlin football. That's what we do. And it ended up happening that way. And like I started the show with, I mean, the Steelers are predictable as ever.
Yeah. Fourth quarter going into that game, Steelers were up 24-6. And then sure enough, Vikings got a touchdown and 2-point conversion and then another touchdown.
Yeah.
So the end of the game was 24-21. But that was an interesting game. Jaylen Warren was out, right? So you had Kenneth Gainwell, and he went off for 2 touchdowns. Also had the DK Metcalf 80-yard touchdown pass, which was great. I'm sure the place erupted there.
It did.
So that was good. And the defense looked pretty good probably until the fourth quarter. So I don't really feel like I have any, particular notes on this game, and I know we'll talk Browns and we'll talk Bengals too briefly, but anything jump out from the game that you just kind of wanted to call to attention?
Yeah, I think the one thing that jumped out, which kind of I wish I would have thought about before this past week happened against the Bengals, I mean, that was the start of us having star receivers just completely destroy us. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 11 targets, 10 catches, 126 yards. He kind of ate us up in that game. We had
Hmm.
some secondary injuries, which is what I was sort of banking on being the reasoning. But obviously, what we found out this past week that maybe that wasn't the case. So that was point number one. Point number two, I think this was the first time Rodgers, I mean, week one you could argue, but I think this was the first time he kind of took over. I mean, I know Kenneth Gainwell ran for 99 yards and played great, but like this felt like the Aaron Rodgers. He was taking control of the game, and this was him sort of making his mark on the Steelers, in my opinion, at least, like the first time this year. So that was awesome to see.
Yeah, I love that. I think great points. And again, so stoked you kind of got to be there on
It's
the
awesome.
yeah boots on the ground and see that game. So experience of a lifetime, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
Um, Glad you made it. Okay, so that took the Steelers right into their bye week, and we mentioned that Steelers had a great bye week because the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns all lost. So
yep,
couldn't really get much more than you could ask for, especially with the opportunity to get healthy. Now, one of the things we had mentioned really early on when we did some of these episodes was the fact that our bye week is really early. It was the first bye week possible at week
yeah.
5, and as we know, it's a very long season, and plenty of injuries happen. So it's going to be interesting to see if especially with some primetime games coming up. I
Yeah.
think we have a Monday night football game coming up later, so will be interesting to see kind of how the Steelers react to not getting the chance to have a bye week later. But you know, again, it's always good to have that rest, and it's always good when the teams that you're playing against or battling against don't win whenever you're off. So can't beat that, right?
Yeah, I mean, and luckily the Ravens just had their bye week this past week, so they also, I mean, it's a couple weeks later, but they also won't have like a late bye. Like sometimes that happens. We'll have like a week 4 bye, and then they get a week 13 bye, and it's like, well, this is
Right.
kind of unfair. They're fresh and we're not. Yeah, we're gonna see our depth is definitely gonna get tested here as our schedule continues to ramp up. But yeah, I mean, I think it was important. I think it helped clean some things up, and we'll see if we can stay healthy and it will be okay.
For sure. So 3-1 record post
Yep.
bye, going into playing the Browns at home. I think we were maybe 6 or 7 point favorites. Um, and the Browns, I think they showed the stat, haven't won a regular season game in Pittsburgh since 2000 and something,
This was the
2003,
22nd
2000.
straight time. Or they 21 times coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that playoff game that happened, but the Browns were 1-4 coming into the game. They were, I
Yeah.
think, 0-2 or 0-3 on the road, um, and I think holistically it wasn't anything flashy from the offense.
No.
23-6 was the 23-9 was the final score in that game. Kind of opened up the game with 3 field goals from Boswell, but Aaron Rodgers kind of got going a little bit with 2 touchdowns, one to Connor Hayward, one to DK Metcalf, and the defense is really kind of what stole the show here in this game. They really got after rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel. I think he was sacked 6 times. Lots of QB pressures and plenty
Yeah.
of turnovers in this game. So thoughts, comments, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, and so I actually had the pleasure to also be at that game. So that was a lot of fun.
Two for two.
Yeah,
That's
that
right.
was my first game in Pittsburgh in since I think it was since Kenny Pickett's first game against the Jets a few years ago, which is kind of funny. My overall takeaway, though, my final score might not show it, but the Steelers dominated that game, and
Yeah.
like maybe the stats don't show it either. But when they those first 3 drives, like you said, a 44, 50, and a 48-yard field goal, they drove it pretty easily into the Browns' territory and then had to settle for field goals. And I think that was the biggest takeaway, finishing. They needed to start finishing drives. And Rodgers pointed that out after the game, and I think the coaches did as well. But they moved the ball, and that's a really good Cleveland Browns defense. The team might not be good, but
Hmm.
it's a good defense. So that's again, I thought Rodgers took a step in Ireland, and then I definitely think the offense and him took a step in the Browns game to where we'll talk about in a minute the Bengals game. But I thought it was a really dominant win for the Steelers. It was Dylan Gabriel's first ever start in the United States, which is kind of funny to say because it was his second start ever. But you could definitely tell he felt rattled by our defense and by the noise. And yeah, the defense kind of just dominated. They never really had a chance to get going. So I thought it was an overall very dominant win, even if the stat sheet and the scoreboard didn't really show it.
Yeah, something that jumps out to me too is if you've heard the name Quinshon Judkins, he's a phenomenal rookie running back on the Browns and really has been having a great start to the season. Um, I think last week or past few weeks, he's really gone off and
Yeah.
had a significant amount of yards in production. We held him to 36 yards on 12 carries, which is I would say really impressive from a defensive standpoint. So it's and anytime you can play kind of a star-studded running back and not let them go off on you, I guess is really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's a good day. So Dylan Gabriel also attempted 52 passes, which was
Yep.
completely bonkers. And he only had 221 yards on those 52 pass attempts, averaging just 4 yards per pass. So yeah, six sacks is what I see here, and the turnovers too was another thing that was just totally, crazy to see the Steelers finally, do something, right? Or am I thinking of a different
No, you're
game?
thinking of a different game because the Cleveland game, Dylan Gabriel threw about 5 or 6 right to our hands, and we couldn't catch it.
Oh,
Actually, the people I was with, we were joking that we had to go teach them how to catch the ball because none of the corners or safeties could catch the ball. So no, we actually lost the turnover battle in that game. Well, we had a fumble; it wasn't
zero
lost.
zero.
It was zero
Um,
zero.
I think maybe going back to the Vikings game where we had a couple
We have a lot
picks.
of games to talk about.
Yeah, a lot's all mumble jumbled, and so we can kind of discredit that
Yeah,
moment there. But it felt like the defense certainly played like they had a lot of turnovers.
yeah,
Um,
they did.
but nonetheless, I think a great win to put the Steelers at 4-1, right?
Yeah.
To come into a really good spot with 4 wins in your first 5 games in the first 6 weeks of the season, to lead up to the Cincinnati game. So anything else with respect to the Browns game in terms of comments to share or to make there? Must have just been fun to be at home and see a good win.
It was. It was a lot of fun to see that. I think the biggest takeaway was, this was pretty universal. Nick Herbig was the best pass rusher on the team that for that game, and he really took a step forward and proved how good he was. So that might not show in the next game, but Nick Herbig is really coming on.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, love to absolutely see that from him. I saw a stat somewhere that said something along the lines of he's had, a lot more production than TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith this year, and he hasn't played as much.
Yep.
Um, so I think he was only on the field for, under 30 snaps against the Bengals, and I don't know what it was against the
In
Browns,
in
but
that game, he played a lot of snaps. I think he
okay.
played just as much as I think he played more than Highsmith and a little less than Watt.
Yeah. So it's interesting to figure out or to kind of navigate here, like what the Steelers are doing, right? In terms of,
Yeah.
we have 3 really good pass rushers, but um, who wins out, right?
Right.
And kind of who sees most of that playing time. It's awesome that if Nick Herbig is your third guy, he's doing a hell of a job, but makes a case or an argument that he should be, in there as
Playing
much, if
more.
not more than Alex Highsmith. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that sounds good. Let's move on to the Bengals because this is the one that's kind of fresh in our memory, right? This is kind of getting back to our, I would say, swing of things in terms of being able to recap a recent game. This was one that, yeah, I was back at home watching on the TV from start to finish, and Thursday night football game. So it's now a little bit more in the past relative to kind of these Sunday games, but. I think what jumps out to me here, this is a 33-31 loss by the Steelers in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
We mentioned this before we started recording, but I think it's worth talking about for a little bit here. I looked at the scores from, our 6 games this year, and we've put up more than 20 points in each of those 6 games. We put up 31 points in this game against the Bengals. it's not our offense that we're having to complain about right now. I
I
mean, sure,
know.
there's things we're gonna want to, of course, criticize, and we can make that wide receiver two argument. But Calvin Austin's been out for the past few games, and um, we've had some interesting production from our tight ends. But for the most part, aside from maybe some poor decision making or bad interceptions at times, Aaron Rodgers has been great to have as a quarterback. I think the offensive line has generally improved. We did miss Jalen Warren in one game in Minnesota, but or no, was he out for the Browns too?
No, he played the
No.
Browns.
So he was out in the Minnesota game, but Kenneth Gainwell played great. So
Awesome.
the run game has been pretty good. The offense has looked pretty good. I feel like these past few games, we've seen two different defenses.
Yep.
Particularly, we talked about the dominance from the Browns game from the defense, and now moving into this game where you let Joe Flacco, who was a newly signed quarterback for the Bengals, tear you up completely. I mean, Joe Flacco went off for, gosh, 300 some passing yards against the Steelers. They put up 33 points against us and really embarrassed our defense.
Yeah, he put up 342 passing yards.
Yeah,
I mean,
not good.
no, not good. And I mean, I think it's kind of funny because Tomlin talked about this the week leading up to the game, how bad it was of the Browns to trade Joe Flacco to an in division rival like the Bengals. And
Hmm.
a lot of things with the Tomlin says a lot of us don't agree with, but that is something I didn't think he should have harped on it as long as he did. But he has a point. The Bengals were dead. I mean, Jake Browning looked horrible.
Yeah,
And they traded a guy that's a gunslinger and knows the division well to a team with unbelievable weapons. And sure, he struggled against Green Bay, but that was 2 days after he got traded. They really
right.
traded him for this game, and he looked phenomenal. 31 of 47 for 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, only sacked twice. And I mean, this goes back to what I said about Justin Jefferson tearing us up in Ireland. Jamar Chase had 23 targets for 16 catches and 161 yards. That's that's like bonkers numbers. 23 targets in the NFL, and there's no adjustment. It's just, I agree with you. It felt like an entirely different defense, and I don't know if that's because it was Thursday night. I don't know if it's because it was Joe Flacco and he just knows us that well. Like I don't really know what the answer is, but something has to change. You can't accept giving up 342 yards and 33 points to Joe Flacco and the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things jump out. First of all, if you look past this game, we call this a mini bye, right? So you
Yep.
have a little bit more rest time leading up to a big game, Sunday Night Football against the Packers. So we can hope that there's going to be some changes that get made in this period of time with extra practice, being able to be baked into that gap, whatever it may be. But something's got to give
Yep.
because there was a statistic that we talked about that it was like leading into this game, Mike Tomlin was 0-6 against division rivals on Thursday Night Football when you're away, and now you're 0-7. And gosh, I don't like Thursday Night Football as a football fan, not even as a Steelers fan, but the fact of the matter is we're going to get one of those games every year, and we got to know how to handle them.
Yeah.
And it seems like we really, really don't. And to go up against a quarterback that, yeah, in Joe Flacco, but he's on a completely different team. The Bengals so well in and out. They have not been playing well all season. They were
Right.
2-4 going into this game, and now you gave them a little bit of life when
Yep.
you could have cemented yourself at 5-1 atop of the AFC North, while the Ravens are on a bad period with Lamar Jackson being out and not as much production from their running back Derrick Henry, and the Browns kind of getting beat down even further. You had a chance to do something here, and you really didn't. So that, I think, is the biggest frustration point for me when I think this was, on paper, a very winnable game.
We had a chance to be four up in the loss column against every team in our division. I mean, that's a sizable lead, and when we get into what our schedule is about to be, we
Yeah.
probably need that gap, especially against the Ravens. Who, I mean, I think you probably feel the same way. They're gonna get better, and Lamar's gonna come back healthy, and they're gonna start stringing along wins. We need a buffer there, and Joe Burrow's gonna come back eventually, and I mean, we needed everything we could get. But I will say, I won't. The one thing with the Thursday night record is we're gonna give Tomlin a lot of crap, but it's not just him; it's the entire division. Have you seen the AFC North records on away games? On Thursday night football games, the AFC, the Ravens are 2-6, the Browns are 1-5, the Steelers are 2-9, and the Bengals are 1-6. The whole division is terrible on the road, whether it's a divisional game or not on Thursday nights. So I'm hoping that we can chalk it up to that. But the problem is, it's sort of what you said. It's two different defenses. You mentioned against Quinshon Judkins and Cleveland, we completely shut him down and shut their running game down. But I think why the passing defense got torn up so badly on Thursday night was because the run defense was horrible. The Bengals coming into the game had 0 yards of 14 plus, 0 runs of 14 plus yards throughout the season. We gave up two. A 27 and a 37-yard run by Chase Brown, who, by the way, did nothing in the first 6 weeks, and we made him look like a superstar. And once you give up the running game, you make them less predictable. I mean, we know they want to throw the ball, but if you have to worry about stopping the run, it makes it harder to defend the pass as well. And I think it all starts with that run defense. Why did we struggle early in the year? Why did the Patriots move the ball on us? Why did the Seahawks move the ball on us? Because the run defense was terrible. The Jets, the same thing. And we shorted up for a couple weeks, and now we're right back into not playing well. So I think it starts right up front, and then from there we got to figure it out on the back end. And I think I texted you this after the game, and I hope it holds true. This is the first year in, I don't know, I think I told you the Ike Taylor days. It's felt like that long. I don't know if it has been that long. But this is the first time I feel like we have veterans in the secondary. At corner specifically. And I'm hoping that Slay and Ramsey are smart guys. They're smart football players, and I'm hoping those guys and the coaching staff can come up with a way to be better on the back end, because just what they did Thursday night is not going to cut it the rest of the year.
Yeah, I really go back to the point where it's like the last two games, it just feels like it's two completely different defenses, and what's really causing that, right? Like, if you're going to play the way you played against the Browns for the rest of the season, then you might look like you're the highest paid defense in the league, right?
Yeah.
But if you're playing the way you played against the Bengals, where again you let Joe Flacco get you for 340 odd yards, they put up 33 points. You let Chase Brown look like he's the best running back since, Barry Sanders. I mean, it's not a good spot to be in. So
No.
Something's got to give. Hopefully that this extra time in between these games is going to help us. But the Green Bay Packers, who we play next, are a pretty good team offensively if they can get it together. And then we have some really tough games afterwards. We play the Colts, who are just one loss. We play the Chargers, and then we play the Bengals again, I think. So it's not easy, the road that's ahead of us. So to your point, this veteran secondary in particular, and the veteran defense. I mean, you look at TJ, you look at Cam, you look at Alex Highsmith's been here quite a few years now. These guys need to kind of figure out what's going on to be able to get back into a rhythm.
Yeah, and you mentioned TJ and Cam. I mean, we didn't get much pressure because he threw the ball quick too. So we got to start getting pressure on the quarterback to help out the secondary. But you mentioned our schedule. I mean, this defense is going to make or break in the next 4 weeks. We play 4 awesome offenses. Green Bay's been struggling, but they have all the firepower. The Colts might be the best or second best offense in the league. The Chargers, Justin Herbert could throw all over us, and then we play Cincinnati again. So by the middle of November, we'll kind of have a feeling. We'll know if this defense fixed the holes or not. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, though. If I give an offensive and defensive takeaway for the last 3 weeks, defense, there's just all the money's there, all the players are there. They just got to find a way to execute and come up with better game plans. I think it's both on the players and on the coaching staff. I don't think we're making the right decisions in the scheme, but I also don't think the players are executing. And I don't know. I have some faith in the defense to figure it out. There's a lot of veterans, a lot of proven winners there, but I'm very, very skeptical, and it's going to make or break our season. And then on the flip side, the offensive side, it's the opposite opinion. I mean, all I can say is glowing stuff. The run game has gotten going, like you mentioned. We're running for over 100 yards almost every week, and that offensive line has an attitude right now, and they are blocking with a with they're blocking with force, and they want to run people over, and I love it. I mean, Broderick Jones has taken such a step forward, and I know he had the stupid jumping on Aaron Rodgers after the game, but he made a joke out of it, and I think everything's okay. But that offensive line looks great. Rodgers has been really good. He's not trying to do too much, and I think the play calling, as much as we question some of it, I think it's been really good tying in the run and the pass game. So I have only good things to say about the offense. I'm just hoping as we start seeing better defenses like Green Bay, like the Chargers, even Indianapolis has a good defense. Can we continue to sustain this? And I really think we can, as long as we can stay balanced. That offensive line, I think, is the key to the offense continuing to churn.
Totally agree, and I think that's a good way to kind of, tie a bow on some of
Yeah.
these past, I guess, 4 weeks, including the bye. Um, I think we should. It's hard. It is the hard thing to do when you have some very differing games, but I think we should try our best here to give a balls of steel over the last few weeks and to give a jag off over the last few weeks. I'm struggling personally trying to figure out where I'm going to go because I haven't prepared for this. So,
Yep, me neither.
um, do you have anything come to mind? Do you want to start negative? Do you want to start positive?
I have more ideas positive, so we'll start positive here. And I will not take the. I do think there's a very obvious balls of steel. I really do over the last 4 weeks. But I won't take that one. Who I'm gonna take is I'm gonna take Darnell Washington.
Okay.
And here's my reasoning. Sure, the stat sheets. I mean, this past week, 3 catches for 2 yards and a touchdown. Like it's nothing crazy, but his snap count has really, really risen, and he is playing a lot of snaps. And there's a correlation to his snap count rising and our run game and our offensive line getting better. And he played 63% of the snaps on Thursday, and I think he's played upwards of like 80% of snaps in some of the previous games. And they started doing that jumbo package with Spencer Anderson a lot more, playing Darnell Washington a lot more, and it's the results have been amazing. And so I want to give Darnell Washington a lot of credit because he also isn't a guy, he's not getting a ton of targets, and he's not complaining. He's just going out there and he's running people over in the run game, and he's loving life. And so I think Darnell Washington has been honestly been like the secret weapon to unlock the offense, in my opinion, over the last 4 weeks. So I'm going to give him my balls of steel.
No, I love that. That's a good one. I'm going to build off of that, and you kind of set me up a little bit with what you had said previous to the introduction to the balls of steel, but as well as with what you just said. I'm going to give mine to the offensive line.
Okay.
I think they've significantly grown over the past few weeks, and if you take a look at just purely from a stats perspective, I don't have anything on QB pressures, but they let up 2 sacks against Minnesota. They let up no sacks against the Browns and no sacks against the Bengals. So I think that's great, right?
Yeah.
Such a good a good metric of improvement for this offensive line. That first few games we said, hey, they need to get their shit together, and we said this in the offseason too. And I go back to that one quote that Ben Roethlisberger made that said, hey, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a really good quarterback this year if he gets the protection that he needs. So I think the offensive line is definitely very worthy of receiving a balls of steel here over these past few weeks.
I love that you said that because, I mean, you can say Thursday night against the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson, their best pass rusher, didn't play. Okay, that's fine. But the week before against the Bengals or the Browns, Myles Garrett played, and nobody would even know because he was nowhere on the stat sheet, and that's awesome. And against the Vikings, they're really creative with blitzes and have a good pass rush too, and we only gave up 2 sacks. And so I agree with you. 2 sacks over a 3-game span is almost unheard of for this Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. So the fact that they're getting better and better is really good to point out. I actually didn't think that was the obvious one, but it's a very, very good one.
Who's your obvious one?
I thought Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, I thought there too, right? He's been
But he
playing
did
really
miss a
well. He's
game.
healthy, but he missed the game. So our run game holistically could have been a good one because Kenneth Gainwell certainly played really, really well against the
But you're right.
Vikings.
Gainwell did run for 99 yards, so maybe I think Jaylen Warren's playing awesome, but you're right. It's more of the offensive line than the running back himself.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a jag off?
No, not yet.
Me neither.
I'm researching.
I mean, it's got to be something with the defense, and I feel like the communication. It's kind of like a bailout for me, but you can see it all over the field in the Bengals game where their last second, right before the snaps getting called, they're still trying to realign and nobody knows where they're going. And so I don't know if it's the scheme, if it's the communication, if it's the player personnel, just the entire defensive. Maybe it's the coaching. I guess the whole defense I kind of want to give a jag off to, right? Which is
Yeah.
terrible, but like we're spending all this money. They're the highest paid defense in the league. I know that's a broken record on that, but it's kind of embarrassing that they can't stop anybody right now. I mean, even the
Yeah.
Vikings game, they couldn't stop them at the end of the game. They did. They got the stop they needed, but they look leaky, and I was not expecting that.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. Again, struggling to find, one person, one position group, something like that, as we have kind of three varying games, especially when we did play pretty well defensively against the Browns. But
True.
here's one thing that's not really a jag off per se, but I'm looking at our penalty count over our past 6 games, and 4 penalties in week 1, 2 penalties in week 2, 8 penalties in week 8. So against New England was a highly penalized game. Um, but we had 5, 10, and 7 in our last 3 weeks. So if you look at it in the first 3 games of the season, the Steelers had 14. If you look at it in the last 3 games that we've played, the Steelers have had 22.
Wow.
So it's like 50% more if you do the math, right? So I think that that's maybe a point that we could start to focus on a little bit in terms of kind of cleaning up where some of those penalties are. Now, this at least has a breakdown in terms of offensive penalties versus defensive penalties. The offensive penalties over that 3 game span is 1, 2, and 4. So that gives you 7. And the defensive penalties is 3, 6, and 3. So that's 12, right? So almost double the defensive penalties.
Yeah.
And then 3 of them are on special teams. So the defense is definitely, yeah, more heavily penalized, and something to think about. So that's maybe where I'll go. So again, it's not really like a player or anything like that, but maybe it's just kind of how these penalties are coming up in the way we're playing to get penalized.
Yeah, I like that. You bringing up penalties actually made me think of. I mean, I do think we need to spotlight Joey Porter Jr. a little bit. That development just hasn't been there, and he's still
Right.
very handsy. Lots of penalties. I'm sure half of those penalties are his. He's been hurt though, so hopefully he can clean it up. But yeah, no, I like that. Penalties have been a major problem.
For sure. Okay, so I think that's a good way to, again, wrap that up. I
Yeah.
want to mention here our schedule, which we have talked about very, very briefly, but our next few games are really, really tough. Sunday Night Football at home is the game that we'll preview here for a second against the Packers, who are 4-1-1, first in the NFC North. But following that, we go and we play Indianapolis, and I want to see here if I have where we're. Do you have the schedule up too in
Yep.
terms of home and away?
Yep. We're at
Yeah,
home.
so we go. Sorry. Okay, so we play Indianapolis, then we travel to the West Coast for another Sunday Night Football game against the Chargers. Then we play the Bengals at home, and then we play the Bears in Chicago, who are the Bears, but they're 4-2 right now. And
Yeah.
then we play Buffalo at home, and then we play at Baltimore. Um, if we want to go through the whole schedule here, we have a Monday night game against Miami, and then we play the Lions, and then we have the Browns and the Ravens to finish things out. So we have a really, really, really tough schedule. I bet if you were to look at strength of schedule or toughness of schedule from this point on, the Steelers got to be near the damn top of that list. So
Yeah.
um, sucks that the bye is already gone and behind us, but we really need to kind of buckle down. And like you said, that veteran defense needs to step up and figure out what their problems are and what's going on. And fortunately, it looks like the offense is clicking a little bit. But let's look to see if that can continue on an upward trend.
Can I kind of ruin your night here?
Yeah,
It's
ruin
just
it,
a
baby.
little bit outside of the Steelers, but you realize we have Chris Collinsworth. Then we have a 1 o'clock game on CBS, which I just looked. The Chiefs and Bills play the same day, so it's probably going to be Ian Eagle. And then we
Ah,
have Chris Collinsworth again. So you have three
Oh
straight
man.
weeks of people you don't like listening to. So have fun.
That's a night ruiner, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we'll get through it, man. We'll get through it. Let's hope we can come out on top of some of those
Just
games.
like the
So,
Steelers will. I
um,
will say that, I mean, it's a hard schedule, but we do tend to play to our level of our opponents. I mean, I know
we
that's
do.
bad to say, but we do tend to play better against good teams. And none of them are Thursday night, none of them are short rest games. And I don't know, like this weekend coming up is a revenge game. I mean, there's some things to look forward to here. So hopefully we play up to the level of our opponents.
For sure. And I think a great thing here too is these next two games, which might be of the next five, those are probably the two toughest, I would say.
Yeah,
They're both at home. So that plays in our favor.
true.
Okay, do you want to preview anything with the Packers game here? Do you have any stats on them
I
or
I do.
um,
So
okay,
I have some
let's
like
hear it.
records here. So first of all, Mike Tomlin coming off of a bye or off of a mini bye, um, after a Thursday night game, he's 14-6. So pretty good coming off of the mini bye. But even better, he's 7-2 following a Thursday night road loss. Very
Mm,
specific, but he's 7-2 following a Thursday night road loss, which is pretty awesome. On top of that, we are finally unveiling the new throwback jerseys. No matter
the
what you
ugly uniforms,
no
baby.
matter what you think of them, we are 16-5 under Tomlin when we wear throwbacks.
Love it.
So we might not be playing good defense, but we do have some historical numbers to back us up to make you feel good. Here's kind of the stats, though. I'll give you Green Bay seventh in the league in offensive points scored, 12th in the league in passing, 15th in rushing. That 15th in rushing is a little deceiving. Their offense runs through the run game with Josh Jacobs in that offensive line, which is a little banged up. Defensively, they're 10th in points allowed, giving up 21 a game. They're 15th against the pass, but they're second against the run. So we've been running the ball well, which we need the running game to get us going. Although we are only 26th in the league rushing the ball, so we're still struggling from early season. But we'll see what we can do against Micah Parsons and this very very solid Green Bay defense. If we can run the ball and stop the run, I know that sounds easy, but if we could do that, I feel pretty confident in us being able to win this game. The Packers are struggling a little bit, so let's see if we can catch them off guard.
For sure. I think the thing that stands out to me here that the only remark that I'll make is their leading receiver for the season right now is their tight end, Tucker Kraft. And so it will be really important for the Steelers to be able to match up on a tight end, and whether that's going to be someone from the safety position, whether that's going to be a linebacker that's on him. I think that's going to be if we get beat through the air. I think that's how it's going to be done, rather than this wide receiver core. So we'll see ultimately what happens there, but that's something that I would kind of be on the lookout for and hope that the Steelers are planning accordingly for Tucker Kraft coming out in the tight end position.
Yeah, it's a great point. We need Peyton Wilson to have a good game, is what that means.
For sure. Yeah, he's one of your favorites, yeah?
Yeah, he's had a rough couple weeks.
All right. Let's give it a score prediction. What do you got for the Packers game?
Man, so they're making this hard. For a while there, it was really easy because we never scored, so I could go low scores. But I don't really know what to expect. We are 3-point underdogs at home, and
Okay.
if you know the
I like that.
Steelers, yeah, yeah, exactly. If you know the Steelers and you follow the Steelers, we always play good when we're underdogs, especially when we're at home underdogs. So I do expect us to pull this out. Like I had briefly mentioned, this is an Aaron Rodgers sort of revenge game, but I mean, he's playing the Packers, his old team, and you'd be lying if you said there's nothing there. I mean, this is his old franchise. He obviously is going to want to beat them. I think he's going to come out firing. For that reason, I do think he plays a big role in this game. This is very, very bold. I'll give my bold prediction first. I think he's going to throw for 300 yards. I don't know if our offense will allow that to happen, but I don't know. We've been gone for a couple weeks. I'll throw a very bold prediction out there. My score prediction, though, I think is going to be more like 27-24 Steelers.
Pretty high scoring. What's the over underline at right now to open? Do you know?
45 is what it looks like.
All right. So you think a little bit more high scoring.
I think a little bit more. I think this offense can score on them, and I don't know. We might be able to slow them down. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, we can only hope, right? This is a big test for us against a good team, and for Aaron Rodgers to be able to come out and make a statement win here is, I think, going to be huge, like for the Steelers. But this
Yeah,
is also something that will I think really propel him this season moving forward, right? If he's able to say, hey, I went in, I beat the Packers, which makes me the fifth quarterback all time to beat all 32 NFL teams, by the way.
Very cool.
That's going to be a huge thing for him. So I think he really wants to get it done. Um, here's what I'm going to say. I think the defense kind of rewrites the ship a little bit
Yeah.
against this Packers offense. I think Jordan Love throws for 2 interceptions. He only has two
Okay.
on the season so far. I think the defense steps up. I made that big, huge mistake early on that I'm still embarrassed about saying the turnovers. I don't know what I was thinking, but maybe I was just forecasting it. Maybe I was just
I
manifesting
love
it to
that.
happen. So I think I feel pretty good about that. Joey Porter, I feel like is definitely due for something. He was handsy, like you said, the past few games, and has drawn a couple penalties. So hopefully things get a little bit better there. I'd like to see 2 interceptions out of the Steelers D here. So
I love that. I mean, Jalen Ramsey after the game gave no excuses and said he needs to play better. So I mean, I look for him to improve and maybe get one of those interceptions. So I think it's a great prediction.
hell yeah, cool. Well, I think this gets us back on track, right? So
Yep,
we
we're
should be
back.
back to normal, back in the swing of things, back after the Packers game to recap, and it's good to be back. Good to talk Steelers as always,
Great
and
to be back.
hopefully to the listeners, you guys didn't miss us too much, and will continue to listen to us moving forward. So we appreciate it as always. Take care, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Peace.